This is ELH4X4 doing stuff. Today we're working on a 4.8 liter out of a 2000 Chevy Silverado 1500 LS. That's the body style. And we know that it's a 4.8 liter because we got casting marks on the block, 4.8 and 5.3. What we're doing, when I mean working on, as you can tell, I have been working on this, but the reason being was car ran good, truck ran good, oil pressure fluctuated or fluttered, right, fluttered, which I thought was kind of odd, but then as soon as it warmed up, it developed what sounded like a rod knock. And what I did was I pulled the pan, and since it's a two-wheel drive, all I had to do to pull the pan was remove a cross member and drop the rack and pinion, right, the steering rack, and you're able to drop the pan, because it, like I said, it sounded like a rod knock. So what I did was I pulled all the bearing caps, and all of them were absolutely pristine. So I didn't take the time. I can't do two things at once, talk and move my hands. I didn't take the time to pull the mains. Let me pull the main off real quick, because there's 6 bolts holding the mains on. Stand by. All right, we got 2 10 mil, one on each side, 15 and a 13 holding the main on. So what I have never seen was the main, 2 mains and a center thrust was galled, but the first and second main were actually spinning. So what I'm trying to say is, if you look closely here, as I drop the main down inside the engine block, so I can't even half the bearing is in the upper part of the main, so I can't even get the bearing out. What I'm trying to say is, that's why oil pressure was fluctuating is every time the oil journal inside the crank would pass, well, actually the bearing would pass through the oil hole, it would create a little bit of pressure. But then as it warmed up, I guess it got to the point where the bearing would stick and cover the oil hole, and then the oil pressure would drop, and it would develop what sounded like a rod knock, what was probably something in the lifters. Right, because I looked at all the pistons, and there was no witness marks of them touching the heads or anything like that, and I pulled all the rod caps anyway, and like I said, the bearing surface and the crank were pristine looking. So this thing has 2 spun bearings on the main, and the thrust bearing is wiped also. So instead of waiting, there we go. Instead of waiting for the machine shop that I use locally, at a really good machine shop around where I live, them being 6 weeks out of doing stuff, and I'm just going to buy a new engine. Well, I already bought it, and it'll be here in a couple days. All right, see, that surface is completely wiped. The tab that holds the bearing in place, that's gone. The crank surface looks like a record, if you guys know what that is, a vinyl LP. And would look nothing like an MP3 file. Anyway, so we got 2 spun bearings on the main, and now what I'm doing is I'm going to be putting all of this stuff back together as a core. So what I should have done was I should have took the time to pull the main. I would have saved myself all this extra work. You know, I thought it was, you know, that the O-ring, right? The O-ring for the pickup tube was shot. There was damage done to the oil pump, so I threw a new oil pump at it and the O-ring, thinking that was going to fix it, because I didn't take the time to pull the rest of the bearing caps. And that's where I ran into the problem. So all right, I'm going to go through the reassembly process. All right, well, with the back plate, since really, you know, I took the gaskets off of the rear main seal plate, so you can't really drive it home because the bolt holes for the oil pan won't line up. So once again, this is a video on prepping a block for a core return. All right, I already went through the troubleshooting process, found out what the problem was, and then determined that a 6-week turnaround on the machine work is a little bit too long for me to wait. And then, is the block even repairable with 2 mains destroyed? You know, the cost of it, I mean, it is fixable, right? But at what cost? So to me, it's just easier to get a new engine. All right, and this is for my son. My son got a 2000 Silverado. Silverado had good structure. You know, the frame's solid. Floor pans are solid. Electrical is solid, if that's a thing. Electrical is good. Transmission was tired, so I'm getting that rebuilt. So, you know, our discussion was, hey, what's, you know, if the engine's bad, you know, the body is still in good condition. He picked it up for $1,000. So the body is reasonably straight. The rockers are rotted out, but, you know, what ones aren't, you know? So, you know, our discussion was, hey, this thing's worth putting the money into. So by the time he gets it, he'll have a new or a remanufactured engine, rebuilt transmission, I was doing work on the heating and cooling system, so he'll have a decent truck. I don't know why I'm doing this, but we'll bring it up to top dead center. There is a mark. Let's see if you can see it. There is a mark. For, where are we at? Where are we looking? Okay. I'm not familiar with this, but after taking it apart, it's a really simple engine. The only thing I don't like about it is you got to pull the heads to get to the lifters. Other than that, it's a simple engine. This is the oil pump drive, whatever you want to call it. The oil pump goes on there. I want to keep it since it's a brand new pump. All right, got that somewhat lined up. Got our thrust plate put on. You know, I called the engine place and asked them about knock sensors. knock sensors go in the lifter valley, but I mean it's not really a lifter valley anymore. So there we go. Yeah, because it's going to show up with the plate, and if it shows up with the plate, or the sensors already installed and they didn't know. So we'll find out. I bought all new sensors anyway. A cam sensor, the crank position sensor, knock sensors, coolant temperature sensor, oil pressure sensor. I'm going to pull the oil level sensor off the oil pan eventually. You know, any other this is a ground lug, right? So take the bolt out of that. Here's another ground lug and another ground lug. Majority of the bolts on this engine are 10 mil. Oil pan bolts, timing cover bolts, rear main seal plate. There we go. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Gotta get that chain on there. So do we got a witness mark on? Yeah. I'm assuming this large dot right here. So we can take line that up, pull it off. It's off a tooth. There we go. Yeah. I mean, this isn't really critical, right? But might as well do it. Might as well do it somewhat right. All right, now that we got the cam in, we can put our lifter blocks in. And these things just plug in. It doesn't look like there's a up and a down. And just slide those into place. That's one. Some of these lifters were a bear to get out. I mean, not literally an animal, but they're difficult to get out. And on this one, I actually took the time to bag, organize, because I'm not familiar with this engine, so I didn't want any surprises if this engine was going to get rebuilt. So now really all I have to worry about are the water pump, the pulleys, tensioners, idler pulleys, air compressor brackets, well, AC compressor bracket, power steering bracket. Timing cover. And everything's all like I said, these bolts are the same out back and in the oil pan. It's just making sure you have all of them, right? So the engine, when I ordered it from Power Source, I ordered it Thursday. And I got the order confirmation telling me that it's going to be here sometime between 1 and 5 p.m. on Monday. So 4 days delivered to my doorstep. Don't need a forklift. They got a lift bed and a lift trailer. What is it? Lift gate. All right. So whatever You don't need any special requirements. We're going to drop it off right at the house. So I don't have to do anything but just be here to receive it. All right, now that we got the timing cover, we'll move to the heads. Some of the hardware that is on them is going to have to come off. Go, you can. Now you can't say like all the head bolts are the same length, but for the majority of the head bolts, I mean minus the ones closer to the intake, right? You have three different styles of head bolts. Am I in frame? Right? Self-explanatory where these go. These pretty much go everywhere else, but these go on the inside towards the front and the back. Right? Front and back. Let me just drive those home real quick. This has to come off. $15 except for these small ones. $10. All right. The locating thing for the proper nomenclature, the locating thing is stuck in the head. As you can see, or barely see, right here. That's where that can stay. It helps line up the head gasket. And keeps the head from sliding off. Thank you for all the new subscriptions. Leave a comment. Okay. Let's get you involved. All right. That ain't cool. Nope. Work on that other one later. Let's see what's going on with that one. Tight. All right. We'll get that valley plate put in. So this is what I was talking about. Where are you at? So a knock sensor and this plate, it goes over top of, that one still has the seal in it. But it goes over that. But the seal, like, you know, I don't know how. I don't know if the knock sensor, I wasn't paying attention when I took it off. If the knock sensor comes out first to pull that plate off. So thinking about it, I think you have to take the knock sensors out to get that plate off. All right, once again, baggie full of bolts. These are all the same. Well, not really. I don't know. Some of them might have different ends to them. Regardless, I took the time to mark everything. Move our attention over to the rocker assembly. For the most part, I think I only found one push rod that had a deformed end to it. I'll try to find it and show you guys. But what I don't, what I can't comprehend is the oil return. You know, on your small block Chevy style, it's built into the heads. On this, it doesn't have any, it must be like an internal oil return passage. We'll have to look at the rocker plates, do a closer inspection, and I think these are 8. Yeah. Because at first I thought the oil was filling up inside of the head and like it was clogged somewhere, and you know, I just thought it was like all sludged up inside. Where are you looking? Thought it was all sludged up inside. And then when I pulled the valve covers off, this is what I see, and I was like, man, that doesn't look bad. And then I was looking for the return passages, and I couldn't find them. This is not the proper way to do this. This is just, as I said, this is a video on prepping the engine block for a core return. You know, I had everything all in order and ready for reassembly. Yep, I think this is the one. I don't know if you can see that. All right, this is a good one. This is the worn out one. And the edges on both sides are worn down. And this lifter was the one that was a real difficult to get out. So let's take a look at, because I don't understand I don't see any oil holes inside of this brace. I don't, you know, if you guys know how the oil returns back to the pan in the system, let me know, because I'm not seeing it. You know, it has oil holes through the push rod. It has the oil hole through the rocker. I thought it would be, I don't know, maybe there's like enough space in between. What am I showing you guys? Like maybe there's enough space in between the bolt and the pivot on the rocker arm, and it goes back through. No, but well, I mean, unless there's like little oil passages, I don't know. I don't know. So then what we'll do now is we'll take a I'll get this stuff tightened down, and then we'll go through and take off the other where are we at here? All right, what I can do is take a picture of the hardware. I'm trying to remember what was over on this side. Maybe something with the tensioner. I don't know. I don't know. I took this off just in case. You know, I'm assuming that it comes with the oil pan. The picture said it has a timing cover. That because there's options, but the only available option that they had that was getting ready to ship out that they had on hand was what they call with tin, even though it's aluminum. You know, so all the plates. So all the plates. I'll probably take that off. Just because the other engine is not coming with the harmonic balancer. All right. So thanks for watching ELH 4x4 doing stuff. Prepping engine block. Take that off. Prepping engine, even though I got a new one. Prepping engine block for core return. And when the new engine comes back and shows up, then, excuse me. When the new engine shows up, we'll do the side-by-side. One, check for damages, and then see what needs to come off. Can't forget about our oil level switch. Right there. Even though I bought a new one, I'm going to take the coolant switch out. Sensor, coolant sensor, oil level sensor. Yeah, cool. All right, thanks for watching ELH 4x4 doing stuff. Prepping engine for core return. See you at the next one.